Hello everyone, welcome to Please Tell Me. This episode is sponsored by Costco. Well, can you still buy face masks? I could not find it anywhere probably a couple months ago. China, as the world's factory, produced most face masks. One Chinese face mask manufacturer has a problem. They released this statement on April 14th. Two owner clients, due to the global coronavirus influence, face mask orders have been increased by hundreds. The large quantity of bulk orders have well exceeded our 2 months production, which puts a heavy burden to the company. We have decided to stop accepting new orders and negotiate to cancel some existing. Recently, we found some clients have made the fund transfer to our company account without any communication, which has confused our accounting department. All transfers will be deemed invalid without a signed purchase order. Anyone insists transferring after the refunding will be reported to the market management department or to the police department. This statement is quite interesting. We'll understand there is a shortage problem. Well, the question is how can they receive significantly more orders than productions? The simple basic economic concept is supply and demand. Well, there is a strong demand and the supply stays constant, the price should go up, so the supply and demand can be rebalanced. There was a pharmacy retailer in Tianjin, China. They sold face masks at about $20 each, while the purchase price was $2. Here is the government release statement. According to the related laws, we have already sent a $400,000 ticket to this company, and we have transferred this case to the police department because they're suspicious economic crimes. We have not found such documents for manufacturers, but I can hardly imagine the government has not made similar restriction to the manufacturer regarding face mask price adjustment. With the price controlled, it's not surprising that many face mask manufacturers received hundreds times of order. It's not unique. US DOJ also issued a warning in March. We will not hesitate to bring criminal charges against the company and the individuals who engage in price fixing or rigging bids for much needed health equipment such as face masks and sterile gloves. Other than the government, Amazon also showed their version of social responsibility as they tried to curb the price for outrageous face mask price sold on Amazon. However, should a manufacturer or retailer raise price on much needed face masks, well, there is clearly a void in the market value. If they cannot, how do they filter through all purchase orders and fulfill the most needed one? If they can, how much they can raise to avoid the moral crisis? How to balance saving lives and the free economy strategies? Once the free economy is broken, how long will it take to rebuild, or anyone still wants to make face masks in the future? On another level, will Chinese policy be applied to exports or the US policy be applied to imports? Anyway, New York bought about 2 million N95 masks at about $4 each. Regular price is about 80 cents, and most of them are coming from overseas. Our next news is about sports. Before I introduce the news, there are a couple of pieces of background information you need to know. Guangzhou is a large southern Chinese city with a 13 million population, which is about the same to Los Angeles metro area. So it's a very crowded city regarding traffic. In order to deal with that, the city has a regulation on vehicles from other states, which is you can drive for 4 days and then have to park it for another 4 days. So 444. This is the background information number one. Information number two. If the city has regulations over vehicles from other states and you happen to have one registered in other states, why not just register the vehicle in Guangzhou? Well, it's not that simple in China because it's unique residency system. The residency system is quite complex. To make it simple, your residency will only be determined by your parents' residency, and then your parents will be determined by your grandparents, and so on. It doesn't really matter where you were born, living, or working. Technically, your parents have to be Guangzhou citizens first before you can be one. Or you have to meet several criteria at the same time. As I mentioned earlier, it's too complex that most people will not be eligible to go through the system, even if you are a Guangzhou citizen. Let's say you have met all criteria and you will have to use the lottery system to be awarded a Guangzhou plate to register your vehicle. The winning rate in 2019 is about 0.5%. That's enough background. Yuhan Chao plays for Guangzhou Evergrande Club, which is probably the best team in Chinese professional soccer league. As we know, most professional sportsmen are pretty wealthy. Even though he's rich, he doesn't have one thing: Guangzhou residency. He drives the car registered from his home state in Guangzhou City, so he drives for 4 days and parks it for 4 days. It's really annoying, but he found a workaround to drive the car every day to alter the plate number by hand. Too bad. Someone taped it while he was altering the plate number on a Mercedes on an open street in the daytime. What's worse, they put it on the internet. The video clip went viral and soon caught attention from the police department. They sent Yu a ticket, about $800 fine, 12 points on his driver's license, and 15 days in jail. This is not the end. Guangzhou Evergrande Club has this employee handbook, which includes anyone with criminal activity will be terminated. Not surprised. Yu was terminated right away with a loss of over $3 million on his 1-year life contract. What is this employee handbook, or what they call 3 9s team rules? It has 9 activities you, as a player, must do, 9 you must not do, and 9 activities if you do will be terminated. The 9 must do are pretty standard for professionals, and 9 must not do include: do not make any inappropriate comments, do not attack each other, do not send coach team gifts, do not have personal contacts with the management team, and do not have unnecessary contacts to the outside world. The 9 leading to termination activity include: challenge the coach, violation of daily schedule, damage company's branding severely, or any criminal activities. All NBA players should be very appreciative that they only have a 25% pay reduction than being terminated by a speeding ticket. The next news is about child sex abuse. A 14-year-old girl was sent to Beijing to be adopted by a successful executive, of course, in private. Well, according to her statement, she was raped and forced to stay at home in the last few years. Now she is 18. She reported to the police department a couple times, and every time it was ignored for the reason of insufficient evidence. She finally released the story to the internet. Adoption is another huge topic in China. We may cover it in our later episode. The entire matter is still under investigation with a lot of dramas. The successful executive is a well-educated attorney and claimed they were going to get married. Of course, all children need to be protected because this world is so ugly sometimes. What really caught my attention in this matter is when people can legally get married if they know they need to get married. In China, men are legally allowed to get married after 22 and women are 20. In early years, people normally got married when they were 14 or 15, while people's lifespan were much shorter. In some areas of China today, I knew people got married after graduating from high school at 18 or 19. Of course, they will have to make some changes to birth certificates. In the US, most places you can get married when you are 18 without a problem. Well, in some states, there is no minimum marriage age. Some have exemptions that can be taken into consideration for the underage marriage, like 14 or 16. Exemptions are normally parental consents or judicial authorization for normally religious or special reasons. However, the question remains in both countries. How can we know this young couple needs to get married? Does the parent know? Really know? How often you would trust a judgment from a 16-year-old high school gentleman or lady on the marriage decision? Or how much trust should adults grant to their children? Or should we just make it simple? Not permitted, not allowed, not legal. In China, people call this one knife cut. Another interesting fact is underage marriage normally happens in some rural area with less developed economics. With social development, people tend to get married late and have less children. In another word, take marriage less seriously. Okay, before we proceed to the next news, let's hear some music. Pretty good, huh? At least to me. This came from a Chinese farmer named Zhu Zhiwen. Let's just first clarify. Farmers are completely different in China. Normally in the US, we think farmers are wealthy individuals with thousands of acres of land. In fact, only 1.3% of the US population are employed in farming and the ranching business, which is almost hard to find. In China, the farmer's definition is broader as it includes people who live in the countryside, more precisely villages. The official number is 41%, which is about 600 million. Most of them only have a very small piece of land they can work on, not acres. Before, farming was the only resource of income for the citizens still defined as farmers. The annual family income is about $2,000 on average. Nowadays, income is more diversified as more people are moving out of villages to work in the cities or something else. Okay, that's enough background on farmers. Let's get back to Mr. Zhu. Zhu is a real farmer and also an artist. He never learned singing before, but he became really famous for singing started from a talent show a few years ago. As a result, he even performed in the Chinese Spring Festival Gala, which is almost the most important event in any Chinese life across the year. So he is famous and has made some money. For the matter of fact, he still lives in the same village he lived for years. There is a problem recently. Two individuals broke into his house front yard gate to ask him to come out. They were apparently drunk while the people around them were videotaping the entire thing. More precisely, they were taping on a short video sharing application like TikTok. I'm not sure how it works, but it seems like you can make some money by sharing a short video. Ever since Zhu became famous and the short video sharing can bring some revenue, Zhu's smart community members quickly identified this opportunity. They try to record everything from Zhu's life. Every day, there are tens of hundreds of people waiting outside his house to ask him to come out for a videotape. If he does not, they would go over the yard wall, sneak through the door gaps, or anything you could imagine. Of course, it's disrupting. Zhu has made a significant amount of investment after he was rich. He built a road, donated some money to the local communities, lent money to his so-called families and friends, and did not expect him to return. Well, his families and friends never seem to be just good. Think about what would happening in the US. Anyway, an individual gets rich in a poor community, tries to return back to the community, but the community doesn't seem to be satisfied. What would that person do? First, it's highly unlikely there would be any donation to the community. That person will most likely move out of the poor community, so the poor community stays poor or a little bit more. The good community gets better. The good/rich and the poor community gender segregation has now been happening at every corner of China. Both poor and rich people are still living in this limbo mixed communities, no matter on a small or large scale. Thanks for listening. Please tell me this week. We will see you next Tuesday. Thank you.